Have you ever assigned a task, felt confident that you were very clear, and still ended up disappointed with the result? Not because the person wasn't capable, not because the person wasn't trying, but because they delivered something that was not what you had in mind. Most leaders assume this happens because people aren't paying attention. More often, it happens because the direction wasn't as clear as the leader thought it was. I'm Renée Safrata, and in the last video, we talked about creating alignment through clear expectations with what Vivo team calls the deal. But even when expectations are clear, people still need direction. They need to understand not only what needs to be done, but what success actually looks like. And that's where many leaders unintentionally create confusion. Leaders often communicate expectations in broad terms, things like provide excellent customer service, take ownership of the project, improve the onboarding experience. The problem is that those instructions leave a lot to interpretation. What does excellent customer service actually look like? And what does ownership look like? What does improvement look like? When leaders don't answer those questions, people create their own definitions. And that's when smart, capable employees start missing the mark. Take Morgan, for example. He's leading a project to improve the customer onboarding experience. He asks a team member to redesign the onboarding process. A week later, the work is complete. The employee worked hard, the process is detailed, and every step is documented. But Morgan remains disappointed because Morgan was focused on improving the customer experience while the employee was focused on improving efficiency. Neither person was wrong, but they were working toward different definitions of success. And that's where frustration begins. This is why leaders need to do more to assign than assign tasks. They need to define what a good job looks like while assigning the task. At Vivo Team, we encourage leaders to answer three questions before assigning important work. First, what is the main intent? In other words, what are we actually trying to accomplish? Second, what specific actions or behaviors should we see that demonstrate success? And third, how good is good enough? And what criteria will be used to measure success? The clearer you are about the outcomes, the easier it becomes for people to deliver what you're looking for. Because people perform better when success is visible, not when it is assumed. When success isn't clearly defined, work gets redone, deadlines get missed, frustrations grow, and leaders spend more time correcting work than developing people. Not because people aren't capable, but because they were never given a clear picture of what success looks like. When leaders define the task clearly, people gain confidence, ownership, and they become more accountable. Strong leaders don't leave success open to interpretation. They define it because clarity creates consistency. And once you've clearly defined the task, you can begin assessing where people are today. Because competence and motivation are always tied to a specific task. And that's where we'll go next. If you're a leader who wants to bring out the best in your people, download Vivo Team's leadership guide, A Taste of Genius, in the link below. Because when you invest in your people, the results will follow.